It's 6:41 a.m. on the 11th of November 2025. The Caribbean coast near La Guaira is quiet, with the first light touching the water when two Venezuelan Su-30 fighters catch a strange radar signal. It is faint but steady, moving north with a speed that doesn't match any known flight plan. Inside one cockpit, the pilot suddenly hears a sharp tone. His lock light flashes solid for half a second. For him, this is shocking. A clean radar lock this early, on a target this unclear, almost never happens. On the ground, officers lean over their screens, trying to confirm before the signal slips away. But they lose that chance. The target vanishes all at once. No fade, no break, just gone like a switch turned off. For a moment, the whole room freezes. Up in the air, the pilot holds his course, waiting for new orders. He knows one wrong move could turn this quiet morning into a serious crisis. He circles the area, staring at an empty radar screen, wondering what kind of aircraft leaves a trace like that and then disappears. What happened over the coast that morning was not just another radar blip. The area around La Guaira is one of the most sensitive places in Venezuela's air defense network. It sits right on a line where foreign patrol aircraft, especially from the US, often pass along international routes. Every radar in the region works around the clock, and every crew member knows that one strange signal can mean trouble. That is why the faint return caught so much attention. A weak echo in this zone is never ignored. For Venezuela, the Su-30 fighters are their pride. They are fast, strong, and meant to be the country's main response to any outside air threat. So when a pilot gets even a short radar lock, it feels like a moment that could define his mission. He wants to prove he can identify and control the skies. He wants to show his commanders he is ready. That half-second lock carried all of that weight. But behind the tension was something deeper. No one on the Venezuelan side knew the truth. The target they almost tracked was not a drone, not a patrol plane, not even a transport aircraft. It was the newest US stealth platform, the B-21 Raider, flying at a much higher altitude on a test route. And because of the way its stealth systems shift between modes, it can sometimes create a ghost-like return on older radar systems. That tiny echo was not Venezuela detecting the aircraft. It was the B-21 crossing a narrow moment where its signature briefly changed. This is why the incident matters. A single radar flicker in a high-tension zone can push both sides toward a dangerous misunderstanding. One wrong order that morning could have sent two Su-30 fighters chasing a plane they were never meant to find. And if either side misread the situation, the calm Caribbean sky could have turned into a crisis. As we go deeper into this story, let me know what you think. If you believe Venezuela reacted out of real concern, press 1. If you think the US stealth systems pushed this into a risky moment, press 9 to tell us your view. The minutes after the strange radar echo appeared were tense on every level. In the operations room, the radar team pushed through quick checks, trying to bring the signal back. One operator searched for weather reflections, another checked recent flight plans, and a third scanned the coast for any matching footprint. Nothing fit. The echo had acted like a real aircraft, but its signal was too unstable to trust. In the sky, the lead Su-30 pilot circled the same point again and again. He adjusted his radar angle, slowed down, sped up, and checked his system to make sure it wasn't a fault. That brief lock tone still echoed in his mind. It had sounded clean and sharp, not like a glitch. His wingman widened the search but found nothing. The empty radar screen only made the moment feel stranger, almost like the sky itself had swallowed the target. On the ground, controllers told the jets to hold position. They didn't want them drifting north toward a zone where the US might take their own action, but they also needed answers. They ordered a wide radar sweep across multiple stations. Every sweep came back blank. No target, no trace, no clue. For a second, the whole radar room went silent. Targets don't just vanish, not like this. The senior officer stepped closer, staring at the screen as if he could force the return to appear. The pilots followed orders but felt the frustration. The lead pilot kept replaying that lock in his head, trying to understand how something could be solid 1 second and disappear the next. Civilian airports were contacted to rule out commercial traffic. Every report came back normal. No distress calls. No unusual movement. Whatever was up there wasn't from the civilian world. The search continued, but the sky stayed empty. The silence in both the cockpit and the command room made every second heavier. Everyone waited for the next move, hoping for even a small signal to return. The longer the quiet stretched, the clearer it became that this was not a simple radar issue, it was something far more unusual. If you think the pilots were right to keep searching, press 1. If you believe pulling back sooner would have been safer, press 9 and let us know your view. The situation shifted from confusing to urgent in minutes. After the radar echo vanished, every coastal station increased sensitivity, hoping for even the faintest return. Technicians ran sweep after sweep, but the screen stayed empty. A clean lock that disappears this fast is rare, and the room grew tighter with each second. The senior controller leaned toward the display, as if focus alone might force the target to reappear. In the air, the lead Su-30 adjusted his angle, lifting the nose slightly. Sometimes a minor shift exposes a weak signature, but nothing changed. His wingman pushed wider but avoided drifting north, cautious not to trigger a U.S. reaction. The controller's repeated warning hold position, "Do not climb, do not drift," carried a sharp weight. This wasn't fear. It was awareness that one wrong move could ignite a chain reaction. On the ground, officers replayed the lock frame by frame. That half-second spike looked too clean to be noise. The commander ordered a slower sweep, forcing both pilots to hold still. The silence that followed felt heavy. Radar glitches usually frustrate people. They don't create this kind of pressure. Unknown aircraft do. The sweep completed with the same answer: nothing. No return, no shadow, no trace the target ever existed. The commander issued a firm instruction: maintain altitude, remain defensive, conserve fuel, and avoid any movement that could appear threatening. They would not chase a mystery northward and risk provoking an international incident. The order wasn't just strategic, it was protective. Above the coastline, the lead pilot kept replaying that lock in his mind. He knew the sound of a glitch. This wasn't one. Something had been there, something advanced enough to flash once and vanish completely. The empty sky felt tense now, almost like it was hiding something just beyond range. The command room sensed the same unease. Officers kept checking the horizon through the windows even though they knew they wouldn't see anything. The longer the silence stretched, the more obvious it became. This wasn't just a technical anomaly. It was a sign of something they didn't fully understand. Something moving with precision through their detection envelope. If you think Venezuela should have pushed harder, press 1. If you believe pulling back was the safer call, press 9, and tell us why. The answer to the missing radar echo wasn't anywhere inside Venezuela. It was flying high above the Su-30 seconds at the exact second the lock appeared. A US B-21 raider was on a test flight, switching between stealth modes as part of its routine checks. That small change created a tiny, unstable return on older radar systems. It lasted less than a second, just long enough for the Venezuelan fighters to catch it before it disappeared. The pilots weren't imagining things. They had touched a moment when one of the hardest aircraft to detect briefly slipped into view. But the Venezuelan officers had no way to know this. All they saw was a clean lock that made no sense. Real targets leave traces, even faint ones. Glitches flicker or jump. This return came in steady and vanished instantly, as if someone shut off a light. They checked drones, patrol aircraft, and weather signatures. Nothing matched. Above them, the B-21 kept flying north, unaware of the attention it had caused. To its systems, it was only recording a mode shift. To the Venezuelan radar team, it looked like contact with something they couldn't identify. The senior officer felt the timeline was too perfect. One lock, one disappearance. No echoes, no flight plan, no clues. It didn't feel like an error. It felt intentional. In the sky, the lead pilot replayed the tone in his head. It wasn't the sound of a glitch. Something real had crossed his path. something advanced enough to show itself for a moment and then vanish completely. They weren't chasing a malfunction. They had brushed against a stealth aircraft designed to stay invisible, and it had slipped away before they even knew what they were looking at. The tension peaked the moment the third radar sweep ended with nothing. The operations room froze, every officer waiting for someone else to speak. The commander finally broke the silence. The fighters would hold altitude, keep scanning, and prepare for any shift. No one knew what would come next, but everyone understood one thing. Whatever had entered their airspace wasn't behaving like anything familiar. In the sky, the lead Su-30 felt the weight settle inside the cockpit. He steadied his breathing and stared at the blank radar. The Caribbean sun looked calm, but the air felt charged, as if something invisible had just slipped past. He followed the defensive pattern precisely, avoiding any move that could trigger a response. Yet he couldn't shake the feeling that he had been close to a real advanced target, something he was never meant to detect. His wingman checked in, saying his radar was also clear. His voice carried the same confusion. Clean locks don't appear for half a second and vanish like smoke. Something had crossed their path, something fast, high, and designed to stay hidden. On the ground, officers cross-checked every log and timestamp. No malfunction, no freeze, no data lag. The lock was real, the disappearance was real, and the silence afterward was real. The commander stared at the timeline, realizing this was no training glitch but a live moment with unknown stakes. With fuel dropping, the fighters were ordered to tighten formation and head south. Both complied without question, scanning the sky even though their instruments stayed empty. The lead pilot couldn't forget the sharp tone he'd heard unlike any radar return in his career. It felt like truth had brushed past them and escaped before they could grasp it. Far above, the B-21 continued forward without banking, dropping, or calling in. It simply moved out of the battle space, leaving behind a brief radar mark and a dozen unanswered questions. The climax of the morning wasn't a chase or a clash. It was the realization that an aircraft had slipped through their detection zone untouched. That quiet moment carried more weight than any missile launch. It signaled to Venezuela that something advanced had entered their sky and showed the US how even a flicker on a radar could unsettle an entire defense network. If you think the Su-30 should have pushed harder, press 1. If you believe pulling back was the safer call, press 9 and share your take. When the Su-30 landed and the engines went quiet, the tension didn't fade. The radar team pulled every second of data into a briefing room and replayed the lock frame again and again. The clean signal, the instant drop, and the silence that followed didn't match any malfunction. It looked like contact with something real, something that slipped out of sight on purpose. Across the air defense network, technicians checked every coastal station. All systems reported normal performance, which made the event even more troubling. A target that appears once and leaves no trace is almost unheard of. The senior officer marked the incident as a rare anomaly that would require days of review. For the lead pilot, the moment stayed with him more than the flight. He knew radar noise and he knew a solid tone. That sharp half-second hit replayed in his mind. He told the room he didn't think it was an error. He felt they had crossed paths with something far more advanced, something that didn't want to stay visible. Meanwhile, in the US, analysts reviewing the B-21's test flight noticed a small spike at the exact second Venezuelan radar showed the lock. It wasn't seen as a threat, but it confirmed that even top-tier stealth can leave a brief footprint when switching modes. As both sides examined the event, the larger picture became clear. Venezuela had reached the limit of what its systems could detect. And the US learned that even the B-21, for a split moment, could brush a foreign radar like a shadow-catching light. The aftermath wasn't marked by escalation, but by questions. Questions about what might happen the next time a signal like this appears, especially if it stays longer. When both nations filed their reports, one conclusion echoed on both sides. This wasn't the last time. The uncertainty forced commanders to rethink how fast a misunderstanding could ignite something bigger. And in that quiet realization, Both militaries prepared for the next shadow that might appear on their screens without warning. If you were in that room, would you call it an error or a warning? Comment 1 or 9, and don't forget to subscribe for the next chapter.